أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا إِلَى الطَّيْرِ فَوْقَهُمْ صَافَّاتٍ وَيَقْبِضْنَ مَا يُمْسِكُهُنَّ إِلَّا الرَّحْمَنُ إِنَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ بَصِيرٌ.
Do they not see the birds above them with wings outspread and sometimes folded in? None holds them aloft except the Most Merciful. Indeed, He is, of all things, seeing.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن. Did they not see the birds with the wings outspread or folded in? ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن. None, absolutely none is holding them but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إلا الرحمن. In the beginning of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, draw our attention towards skies, in the things in the sky, the sun and the stars, and then the earth, what is in the earth. Famshu, and famshu means it's peaceful enough for us to walk on. It's not shaking, shivering, moving all the time, wiggling so that we can't live peacefully. Wakulu min rizqi, and now something that is between sky and earth. The different types of might, I would say, different types of abilities. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. One of the things that I would like to mention here is there is one type of people who believe in law of nature completely, being it natural, quote unquote. So everything is happening on its own and it will end on its own. And that is obviously straightforward kufr. And then there is a second degree of kufr. Some people do believe that there is a creator, there is God, there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who made and created all of this. But then they think He made it once and He made it automatic and now everything is working and functioning on its own, which is not true. Which is why it says, إِنَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ بَصِيرٌ. He is watchful of everything at all times. It's not that He did it once, He made the law of nature or phenomena of the nature and now everything is working on its own. It is not true for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He does not need to do this, because He has the ability to watch everything at all times. That includes us as well, our actions, our intentions, what we think and what we do. And the power of Allah basically is being mentioned here. We really need to remember how powerful He is, and always at all times attribute of everything you see to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can't say the seed just grows from the ground because of this and this and this. Who gave the ability to seed to grow like that? And every seed is behaving or reacting different to different soil. Innahu bikulli shay'in basir. He is watchful of everything at all times. This is not happening automatic. Someone is taking care of that, and that one is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ar-Rahman.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم. Do they not see or look to the طير, means bird, فوقهم, above them. What sustains the bird is that Allah Ta'ala is looking after it for the whole day. And this brings us to an authentic hadith where our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said to the effect that if you trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you should, trust Him the way you should trust Him. It is actually the way birds trust Him. In the morning, they leave their nests hungry, but always return at night full. So Allah Ta'ala actually asks us to look at the birds. And if we see, there are a number of examples of birds given in the Quran. One is the example of crow that Allah Ta'ala gives in the story of Adam alayhi Islam's sons, where Habil and Qabil, and one of the sons, he kills his brother Habil, and now he doesn't know what to do of the dead body of his brother. So Allah Ta'ala sends down a crow, and Qabil learns from a crow which is digging out the earth, and he then gets the idea of burying the body of his brother. Another example that has been given in the Quran is the example of Hudhud in the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam. It flies away and then sees these people worshipping the sun. It comes back to Sulaiman alayhi salam, and then it says that there were people, they worship the sun. Shouldn't they worship Allah Ta'ala? So one thing that we get from here is that the creatures around us look at us and they understand what we do. And as mentioned in Surah Isra, ayat number 44, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِيحَهُمْ, but you do not understand their tasbih. So everything around us is exalting their Rabb. They are doing tasbih, but we do not understand their tasbih. So Allah Ta'ala asks us to look at the bird, how they flock together, unite together, because it is Allah Ta'ala who sustains them. إِلَى الطَّيْرِ فَوْقَهُمْ. Fawqahum is basically means above, above them. And it is basically because most of the creations of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala we witness on the ground or underwater, right? And bird is also found on the ground, but then it spreads its wings and then flies. It is such a fascinating scene. So Allah Ta'ala is calling our attention to a fascinating thing. If we see actually mankind, generally has a fascination for flying. And even if we see the superheroes today, one thing they have in common that they all can do is fly. So Allah Ta'ala asks us to look at the bird above us, Safat. It comes from the word Saf, which means to be in a straight line. This can have two implications. One is when the bird spreads its wings open straight, and the second can be the birds flying in a pattern. وَيَقْبِضْنَ. It comes from the word qabada, which means to pull in, retract. When the birds retract their wings, no one and nothing keeps them up there, holds them up, keeps them from falling, coming down to the earth, except Ar-Rahman, the Most Merciful. Innahu bikulli shay'in basir. No doubt, he is Basir, the one who sees all, grasps all, at all times, each and everything. Again here, this is an abnormal sentence structure for emphasis, which is basically for exclusivity, meaning only and only he is the one who sees, grasps everything at all time. Here we need to, appreciate the beauty of the language of the Quran. Allah Ta'ala tells us about the birds, Safat and Yaqbidn. However, in both the words, when Allah Ta'ala talks about spreading their wings, it is Safat, which is a noun, and Yaqbidn is a verb. And why is it that, when Allah Ta'ala is talking about spreading their wings, it is a noun, and when, it is Yaqbidn, which is to pull or retract their wings, it is a verb. Whereas, as compared to Safat, there is another word, Qabidat, which could have been used. Now the reason is basically that nouns are used to show consistency. When something is done unlimitedly, consistently, most of the time. And verbs have a limitation of time. It is something, verbs denote basically something which is occurring inconsistently. It is a limited word. So when the birds are flying, while they are flying, most of the time, the wings are spread. And rarely it happens that the bird retracts the wings. And just by using a noun and a verb, Allah Ta'ala gives us the idea as to which one is occurring more. Safat, that is spreading their wings, or Yaqbidn, that is pulling or retracting back of their wings. Subhanallah. Ma yumsikuhunna illa Rahman. Now here Allah Ta'ala does not say illallah. He says illa Rahman. And why does Allah Ta'ala use the word, the sifat of his Ar-Rahman over here and not the word, his name, Allah? Because in other places, for example in Surah Nahl, Allah Ta'ala refers to the same flight of the bird, a similar kind of a thing, but over there he says that no one holds it there except Allah. And here it is Ar-Rahman. Now if we go back to the beginning of Surah Mulk and what we had talked about, the main focus is, the point is basically in Surah Mulk is to fill you with awe, to impress you with the beauty of Allah's creations. And it is here that Allah Ta'ala is showing you the beautiful movement of the birds, the beautiful movement of one of Allah's creations. Here, if we look at the previous ayahs as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to show us the blessings He has given us, He has showered upon us. And the tone is basically that Allah Ta'ala is asking us, listen, look, think, and try to understand. He gave us the example of the earth, that you walk on it, you eat from it, you look at the sky, you look at the birds. He has blessed upon you so much. So try to understand His right upon you. And that is the least, we all can do is recognize Him and appreciate Him. And be thankful to Him for all the blessings that He has given us. And that is the reason the attribute of Ar-Rahman has been used over here in this ayah. And Ar-Rahman basically is used 4 times in Surah Mulk, in this surah itself. And it is basically trying to make the human being, trying to make us feel more obligated towards our Creator. He keeps, everything going so stably as we have done it in the previous ayahs, consistent, systematic, smooth working of all the systems, of all the planets moving and the stars and everything. Just one little thing goes out of the orbit and everything would be destroyed. So Allah Ta'ala is basically trying to make us realize that everything is going around. He has blessed us with everything and everything is for us. And then He tries to make us realize that you are accountable for everything that you do. And He is Ar-Rahman.
لا